Okay. Hi. This is a really tough one. And I made up like all of the words. This is how I feel about work. Work. The workforce. It's called The Chinsy-White Prec Held His Head Round. It's about a job interview. It's a dialogue between two people during a job interview. Here's the dialogue of a job interview that I invented. The Chinsy-White Prec held his head round. You've been demoted to precular praiser. We all think you did a top job on the case. Here's the form with to transfer your power. The pen in his hand tumbled out like a pebble. If you're trying to escape from my hand, you cannot. I am wound around you like a tentacle. Okay, I accept then, the precular praiser. Hand me 4 Dumpkin, we'll split the difference. Del Dumpkin, he went for a walk on the prairie. He shan't be back for several wains. Give him my number, I'll call the tribunal, and tell me why walkie the duties obtained. Why milling around with your hands in your pocket, and doll defending Rom Reglain? The precular praiser was beginning to develop a real feel for his job. He glanced casually at the oaken desktop and caught for one moment, out of the corner of his eye, the image of a little sunshine-faced golden hair smiling politely, almost jestingly, from the polished mahogany picture frame that stood so boldly against all odds upon the wily foreman's wade. Must be his daughter, he pondered at measure afterwards, which he proclaimed in his zeal. When you speak, sir, it sounds to me blah, 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 blah. The foreman was crafty. He wandered his winking. That is because the devil full reign. Magondolo was beginning to spot the illusion, a pattern in that polycentric. Why, sir, may the devil full reign? The chuckler foreman twitched his upper arm achingly. Because does the devil do this, deranged? And your job description requires precision, a full-time watching poinsettia devotion. Yet you are a wanderer clutched by impatience. I cannot attribute your wafts to clairvoyance. The chancery, opening its mouth to a state, began to gobble gratingly. To continue, mocked the sumptuous maiden, there were 16 others when you first came in. 2 of them have moved away. That is, the precular praisers, you see. 2 of them since have torn sunder and fled. It is the title, you see, the pleas to forgiveness, the billowing folds of imperfections. When you first came in, there were 70 dead, already 70 dead in thine head. He trailed off into incomprehensible daydream. Magondolo's bewilderment took a turn to indifference, lying itself down slovenly in the tucks of perfection. Well, what of the devil and what of the rain? Magondolo listlessly perched on impatience. Just, you see, my employee, my ravenous vine, what I need from you is 600%. My last 2 employees were involved in a sort of, what do you call it, fiasco, a dealing. Their devotion was not quite 900%. Wait, I lost my place. It's long. 1 second. They were told by title to dabble in dealings, but attentive they were not enough of. As precular praisers, they entered a party and failed to observe the dead body of the widow of a former cohort, so casually strewn sitwise on the couch, who had chid only 2 minutes posthumous. Her fingers were gouged, defiantly centered, abhorrently down her chilly-wise chine. I said fingers were drowned in her chilly wine sign. Jesus, Magondolo, do you understand me? This is your post now. This is your plegiance. And it seems to me, sir, Does a devil done do this? Maybe you ought then to visit a doctor? The chinsy-white prec held his head round, all melon-like. He was scoping out the grounds to procedure. Maybe you ought then to mind your own business. May I mind you, sir, it was you who summoned I. I am not here for you to point out my devils and flomp on my deedrils and hunt down the killers. The killers, the foreman flagected. It was the killers thus brought us here. The killers thus craved us. I have hired you, Dachshund, to seek out the murderous, knock down the ravenous, burn up the luminous, in 10 pesos predicant, plus then no errors. Of course, oh forgiveness, the precular precedent wearies when paled in blah blah blah. Oh grandeur, we shall thresh apart the murderers while leaving the victims, of course, unmolested, while trapping the villainous in cages and trundles. We'll eat with our eyes closed, we'll sleep in fandagos. Well, Mendagalo, dazedly rising in appreciation, did not care for these summertime whimsies. He wanted only precular or not. He raised his champagne glass, as was his wont, saying, "Stick me a medal, I'm feeling fundagious." The end.